Cesare Borgia was one of the most fascinating and controversial figures of the Italian Renaissance, remembered as much for his brilliance as for his ruthlessness. Born around 1475 in Rome, or possibly in Spain, he was the illegitimate son of Rodrigo Borgia, a Spanish cardinal who would ascend to the papacy in 1492 as Pope Alexander VI, and his mistress Vanozza de Catanei. Cesare's early life was marked by privilege and ambition, as his father sought to use his children to expand the Borgia family's influence across Italy and beyond. Educated in Spain and later in Italy, Cesare initially followed a career in the church, being appointed Bishop of Pamplona at the age of 15, and then made a cardinal at just 18, despite widespread criticism of such blatant nepotism. However, Cesare's true ambitions lay not in ecclesiastical service, but in military and political power, and he reportedly resented being forced into a clerical role. The sudden murder of his brother, Juan Borgia, in 1497, rumored by some to have been orchestrated by Cesare himself, although no proof was ever found, opened the way for him to leave the church. In 1498, he renounced the cardinalate, with the consent of his father, an unprecedented move in church history, and became the first cardinal to do so. That same year he traveled to France, where he was granted the title of Duke of Valentinois by King Louis XII, and married Charlotte of Albret, a French noblewoman and sister of the King of Navarre. His alliance with France gave him powerful support in his military campaigns in Italy. Backed by papal resources and French troops, Cesare launched a series of brilliant military operations to conquer and unify the fragmented territories of central Italy, especially the Romagna and Marche regions, which were nominally under papal authority but effectively controlled by independent warlords and mercenary captains. Cesare demonstrated exceptional skill as a military leader and political strategist. He combined diplomatic cunning with swift and often brutal action. He eliminated rivals such as the Orsini and Colonna families, and even had his own condottieri like Vitellozzo Vitelli and Oliverotto da Fermo strangled after they became threats. His use of treachery and pragmatism, along with his talent for governing, impressed many contemporary observers, including Niccolò Machiavelli, who met him during diplomatic missions and later portrayed him as the ideal prince in his famous political treatise, The Prince. Under Cesare's control, the Romagna experienced a level of administrative stability, economic regulation, and order that it had not known in decades, suggesting that his rule, while autocratic and often violent, also brought tangible improvements. However, Cesare's fortunes were inextricably tied to the papacy of his father. When Alexander VI died suddenly in 1503, Cesare, ill at the time, found himself politically isolated and militarily weakened. The new pope, Pius III, reigned for only a few weeks, and the next pontiff, Julius II, a bitter enemy of the Borgia family, quickly moved to dismantle Cesare's holdings. Betrayed, imprisoned, and eventually exiled, Cesare was sent to Spain, where he was held for nearly 2 years before escaping. He then sought refuge in the court of his brother-in-law, King John III of Navarre, and offered his services as a military commander. In 1507, while leading a siege against the rebel castle of Viana in Navarre, Cesare was killed in battle at the age of 31. His body, stripped and abandoned by his enemies, was later buried in an unmarked grave, though his remains were eventually moved to a church in Viana. Despite the failure of his plans to establish a hereditary state, Cesare Borgia left an indelible legacy in European history. He became a symbol of the ruthless pragmatism and cold calculation that defined Renaissance power politics. Neither fully a villain nor a hero, Cesare represents the dangerous allure of unchecked ambition, and his life continues to captivate historians, artists, and writers to this day. His career serves as both a cautionary tale and an enduring example of political genius shaped by the chaotic and violent world of Renaissance Italy.